Nvidia had their press conference just yesterday from the date of this recording. Let's briefly go over what they announced. They announced the 30 series graphics cards, the RTX 3070, which is already on par and surpassing the 2080 Ti for a cheaper price also. We have the 3080, which is probably the one that's going to fly off the shelves. And then we also have the 3090 that was announced, a big boy. 3090.
BF GPU, they called it.
The what?
They call it the BF GPU.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no doubt about that. It's huge. It's like meme huge.
That's the one he pulled out the oven.
It is. This is the same oven he pulled out data center server from. So this thing is huge. Real quick, let's talk about the 8090 because we're probably not going to talk about it again for a while. $1,500. I think it's like 35 teraflops, or maybe even more than that. No, I think it was like 35.7. And
they had different teraflop numbers for like the different categories. So I don't know what
they did
overall.
Well, they had the ray tracing teraflop numbers, which usually that only focuses specifically on the ray tracing. That's why that number is so much higher. But overall, I think it's called the precise measurement. I forget what the exact name is, but I know precise is in there somewhere. That's the teraflop number that we most closely associate with consoles and stuff like that.
I feel like the biggest thing about that card was that they showed a video of them like having people experience gaming on that graphics card at 8K at 60 FPS
frames.
8K 60 FPS, baby.
I will say though that they were using DLSS, so it's not like it's native 8K resolution, but apparently the DLSS technologies has gotten really good, to the point where apparently with Death Stranding, when you play it using DLSS, it actually looks better with DLSS at 4K than native 4K.
And I believe it too, because now it could even upscale it higher than native 4K. Let's talk about the 8K for a sec. Who is gaming in 8K?
Nobody.
Let's be honest.
Nobody.
Nobody. Not one single person.
I feel like aren't there a couple of like TVs? I mean, not a whole lot, just a couple that are like not demo. The video they showed where they had people playing it at 8K. They were playing it on a TV. They actually two of the people that were previewing it, they did a podcast afterwards, and they actually did say how big the TV was. I think it was like 50 something inches, or it was like a huge size TV. I can't remember the exact.
Anything smaller than that, can you really tell if it's 8K? You know. But they didn't, while we're talking about the TVs, they did mention that they're working with partners for the FreeSync technology that Nvidia has.
The G-Sync, yeah, they have 360 hertz monitors coming out or something like that.
Right, which is insane.
What was the thing that they introduced? Nvidia Reflex or something? So they're like trying to, I mean, they always try to push hard for the, like those pro gamers.
Right.
Like now they're like really focusing on that, especially like with the reflex thing that, I guess the technology in it is just like able to like speed through the frames faster or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then along with these like new high refresh monitors that are coming out, like with that, I guess is going to be even crazier. Like personally, I don't really notice that much because I'm not a pro gamer, but I guess for whoever it is, they're going to really notice the difference on that.
Yeah, they will.
So that's kind of cool.
But I listen, who is this card for, right? It's for those who can afford.
It's for me because I'm thinking about getting it.
I mean, no, you would be more suited with the 3080. 3090 would be overkill.
Well, the reason why I would get the 3090 is because I just buy it and I forget about ever getting a graphics card for a couple of years. That's what I did when I got my 1080 Ti, which I still am using. And like, there's a little hiccups here and there, like, with the Avengers game, and then with Flight Simulator, which, I'm surprised my computer didn't just explode. But like, it served me pretty well. Like, for the most part, games that are still coming out, it's like it can still run them in high. Maybe sometimes, depending on which game, I can also do it in ultra with a 1080 Ti. So I can only imagine how long, like the 3090 is gonna last me if I get that.
Listen,
one.
A 3090 will last you for years. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is a 3080 might benefit you more, because you know what? Too, here's something that I noticed. None of these are Ti line. They're all just straight up 3070, 80, 90. And if you notice, there's a huge price gap.
About that. Like, I think today it came out that supposedly Lenovo leaked that supposedly they're coming out, not soon, but like in the future, that they're coming out with a 3070 Ti.
Yeah.
And then they quickly like took it out.
That's 100% my point, is that there's a huge gap between the 3080 and the 3090, not just spec wise, but also in price. I bet you, I don't even know what I'd bet, that a 3080 Ti is going to come out and it's going to be right in between the sweet spot of those two. So if you want to go all out, 3090. The
3090 supposedly is going to be the Titan of this line.
It is, yeah.
Because they're not, I think they're retiring the Titan name. So they're just calling it, the 3090. But that's basically what it is.
But it's also like the 3090 is like, you can use it for gaming, obviously, but the applications for the 3090 card are just like wider reaching than just gaming. Like, people use it for 3D graphics rendering, like a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, and also, like, I guess, if you're trying to game and stream at the same time, like, it's a better option than the other ones, because it's like you can game at a higher res and then stream and not have to worry about like the GPU load being too high.
Yeah, but come on, we have cards out now. The 2080 Ti can do those stuff now. They may, run into hiccups from time to time.
I mean,
but a 3080 can definitely handle all that.
I don't know if you can do like I don't know if you're trying to game, let's say for example, you're trying to game at 4K, you're trying to hit that 4K 60 and then also stream. Like, I don't know how much it'd be able to handle that kind of situation, but I don't know.
Yeah, because that's kind of a reason why I want it, because I have a 4K 144 hertz monitor that I can't really take advantage of with my 1080 Ti, because I can barely, like, maybe like a handful of games that I could probably run at 4K. Like,
you could probably get 4K like at 144 hertz and stream with your 3090 card.
I'm not saying that.
Hold on. Mando, let me ask you this. What was the price of the 3080? I think it was 700, right?
Yeah, 700.
700, right. So you can literally get two of those, have one card dedicated just for your gaming, which will be more than capable, and then have the other for streaming, OBS, all that other stuff. And you're still coming in, it's still $100 cheaper than the 3090.
I don't know if you could assign things like that, especially since they don't support. I don't think they don't support SLI anymore for these cards.
Yeah, and it wasn't confirmed that you can actually connect them together.
No, you can't.
Which, by
not
the way,
the 3070, the 3070 and the 3080 apparently don't support SLI, which they're calling. I think they're calling V-Link now. It looks like that you can with a 3090, but not with the 3070 or 3080.
At that point, you just want to
but this is, it's like what I said, like the 3090 applications aren't just for gaming. Like there are people who will put that to work, like, because they use, I don't know, maybe they're training like an AI model or something, like doing machine learning or something like that. Like, there's like other applications for these cards, or for that card specifically, that's not just gaming.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just saying, it seems to me like especially for now. 3080 is perfect. You know, we're not gaming in 8K or anything like that. And then in a few years down the line, by the time you do want to upgrade, that 3080 Ti will be out. And it's still cheaper than the 3090.
They'll probably have like a 40 line or something. By the time 8K gaming is a thing, they'll probably have 40 or 50 lines.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. For me, look, and I get it. Some people want the greatest and latest. $1,500, sure. I figure if you can afford a $15 if you can afford a $1,500 graphics card, like it's no problem. You probably already have an 8K TV. Otherwise, 3080 for the average gamer, a 3080 is plenty, and I suspect that that's the one that's gonna fly off the shelves.
I'll still probably wait for people to post benchmarks and stuff of all these cards to see how they run, and I'm leaning towards the 3090, but if I see that the 3080 is pretty close, then that's the obvious thing, go for the cheaper one. But as of now, I'm leaning towards the 3090, but I'm still open to change my mind based on performance and stuff like that.
By the way, reference point, the 3080 they said is supposed to be 2 times the performance of the 2080 Ti per power consumption for the same price, which is pretty crazy. So everybody that
the 2080 Ti is not the same price as the 3080. It's actually more expensive.
Yeah, the 2080 is about it's about 1,000, which is funny how
it's the same price as the 3090.
No,
it's like $1,500.
I'm saying right now,
the 2080 Ti.
I think right now it's the 2080 Ti right now is about 1,000. Man, I'm not talking about sales or anything like that. I'm pretty sure it's 1,000. Now, if you just figure that the 3070 is only $500 and can already outperform the 2080, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't go wrong with either of these. I really feel bad. I made a video about this, about covering the Nvidia stuff, and I mentioned that I feel bad for anybody who's purchased a 2080 Ti in the last 6 months.
Yeah,
they got to be kicking themselves. Right?
I mean, and it's true, because it's like, these cards are coming out. Like, it's like routine. They have cards coming out every so often, and it's like, these new cards are right around the corner. So like that's partly why I've been waiting for like half the year for these new cards to come out, because like that's when I knew I'd upgrade or like build a new PC, because like if you're gonna build a new PC or if you're gonna get a new graphics card, you might as well wait for the new stuff to come out.
100%.
Yeah, I'd feel really bad for those people too.
I would too. So look, if Mando, if you're leaning on the 3090, and I can't persuade you otherwise to say some change. I'm not saying the 3090 is a bad buy. It really is not. I just don't think that we're ready for it. It might be a little too ahead of its time right now. But if you do, we'll unbox it on the channel. We'll help you put it in your nice machine, or if you want to do a new build, whatever.
That's pretty much what my monitor is for. Because literally when I bought it, I knew that what I currently have wasn't capable of showing off its full potential on this monitor with the 1080 Ti, because it's a 4K HDR 144 hertz kind of monitor. So I knew that down the line I was going to get something that would take advantage of all of that. And like, I feel the same way for something like that, I get it. Sure, it might be like way too much overkill, but eventually down the line, I can still use it and probably use it to its fullest potential.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously you were setting yourself up for the future, future proofing, as I like to call it. And that's a smart move. Another smart move is what Lou did, waiting, because that a new upgrade is going to come along. I personally waited, I can't even tell you, since May for the new iMacs to come along. And even still, I know that next year they're going to be refreshed with a redesign and the Apple Silicon, but I have my reasons why I wanted to go with this one and not next year's.
This is the architecture that they're using for these cards is the Ampere architecture, and this is the second generation of that. And like apparently the second generation of new architecture is always the best place to be as far as just like performance. That's when they really get it all right and stuff. So this is like the best place to jump in, if you've been waiting to upgrade.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's just with any type of tech. Like usually the early adopters are kind of the ones that get burned a little bit because sometimes the tech doesn't work so well. Like for example, the Xbox 360, like that, the first batch was all the ones that have the red ring. But then afterwards, like when they did the revisions and like came out with the newer versions, none of them had that problem.
Right. Yeah, I gotta say, I personally never had that problem with the red ring. I did buy mine pretty late in the generation, though. Actually,
yeah, that's probably why.
I actually bought that from a neighbor that just told me, "Hey, I'm selling my 360," and I said, "How much you want for it?" He says, "Just give me whatever." So I went to the bank. I took out $100 in ones, and I balled it up with a rubber band. And then I came back like an hour later, and I'm like, "Hey, I will give you this giant wad of cash for the console." And then he looked at that money in rubber band with eyes super wide open, and he's like, "Here, take it." And then as he's counting,
you just scammed the poor guy out of a 360.
No, come on, he was fine. But I did grab my console and I kind of scurried off while he was counting.
He was counting ones for the next few hours.
He was counting ones.
I was like, wait, are these really all ones? It's like, hold on. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, let me tell you, $100 in ones looks like a lot of money, believe me. So anyway, I did, even though I got it used and I also got it really late, that thing got used. I can't even tell you how many weekends I had Halo parties and people would come over and we'd spend literally all night and then 6 a.m. wake up and then go to IHOP. The first customer's in there.
That sounds
and then
familiar.
Come back and play some more. Yeah, that does sound familiar. So I never had that issue. And again, you're right. It is an early adopter. Like those that want to go for the 3090 right off the bat. So I guess we'll see how that works out. Well, what about you, Lou? Are you leaning towards any one of these?
Probably the 3080.
Yeah,
I think that's a good solid choice. I went with, so like when I built this PC that I have now, that was 5 years ago. I got the 970, the GTX 970.
Okay.
And it was the best value for performance, which is why I got it. And it's been the card I've been using for the past 5 years, which I don't have really too many complaints about. I don't game on 4K. I just do good old 1080p. So it's been good for that. But
I don't know if you could game in 4K with an A70.
I did. I was able to run super hot in 4K on this.
I mean, that's just polygons.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, definitely not going to try and run, Destiny or anything like that in 4K because my computer would blow up. But
a little bit,
if I am trying to get move towards, 4K, and stuff like that, I feel like the 380 is a solid choice for that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good solid choice for the next card for me.
Yeah, I agree 100%. 3080, like I said, I think that's the one that's going to fly off the shelves. Those that want to future-proof themselves, 3090, sure. It's just the price. And look, I get it. It's justified. Is it justified in today's world where there are barely 8K monitors? I don't know. Maybe it's justified in 2 more years at least.
And I think people that are, looking for more of a budget-friendly situation would, wait around for the 370, which is like a really good deal too. I think one thing to note too, though, is that they talked about this new faster memory or storage, or not storage, faster memory.
GDDR6X.
6X, yeah. That is only available on the 380 and the 390. So the 370 is not going to get that. So if you want that faster, faster memory, you're going to have to opt for one of those higher end cards.
Right. So for comparison to current gen consoles, we know that the PS5 is coming in at what they call Smart Shift, which is a shifting teraflop range of 9 and 10.3. And the Xbox Series X is coming in at a 12.3. The 2080 Ti, just as a reference, maxed out at 13.4. Right? Again, these are teraflops. So the 2080 was 13 point, or is, let me know, I'm talking about it like it's dead. 13.4. It will be, yeah. 2080, 13.4. And honestly, next gen consoles stack up pretty well against even that. So that says a lot. Until yesterday when these new ones got announced. 3070 comes in at 20.4 teraflops. 3080 comes in at 29.8, and the 3090 comes in at 35.7. Big numbers here.
Those are the floppy boys.
Seriously.
After these, I no longer look at the next gen consoles like they're all that.
That's I've seen videos of people talking about too, just like the whole thing about like these next gen consoles, like they were making waves when they first got announced because the tech was really good.
Oh yeah,
and it's just like they're this is gonna be the new AMD technology that's coming out, that's releasing essentially with the consoles. I guess first on the consoles. It's not. It hasn't even been announced for desktops yet. So it's like I feel like that in itself also just made it that much more impressive because there was nothing on the desktop side or PC side announced that to match these kinds of specs and stuff. But yeah, like you said, yes, when they announce this stuff, it's just like ridiculous. Another interesting thing that like they talked about, which is actually part of the next gen discussion, the next gen console discussion, is travel speeds of the data, like the game data and stuff. So they were talking about these new graphics cards having the technology. So like the way PCs work now is that the game data streams from the storage device to the CPU, gets decompressed, gets put on the RAM, then from the RAM goes to the GPU, and then gets used by the VRAM and stuff. But with these new graphics cards, they're implementing a new technology where it streams straight from the storage to the graphics card and decompresses and all that stuff. So it's like reducing that bottleneck of CPU to RAM to GPU.
Right. I mean, there's still compression. It's just lossless now. And then the other thing to note of that is that you need to have a PCIe 4.0
slot
compatible motherboard, I think, and I think your CPU has to support that too.
Yeah.
Right. So and then yes, it would travel the way that you're saying, which would be much faster. It basically wouldn't even pass through the system memory. But again, these cards have their own, so much memory built in and virtual memory that you don't really need the system memory anymore, especially if they're traveling at, PCI 4.0 speeds, So that's going to be huge for next gen. Okay. Let's talk about the competition. You briefly brought up AMD. How are they feeling this morning?
We do not know. But after, like, I've seen videos, a lot of the video that I've seen, even people that have been enthusiastic about AMD, are just, wondering what AMD is going to come up with to combat this. Cause like they've kind of thrown down the gauntlet here, and it's like up to AMD to respond. And And like AMD was like gaining good traction with these with their latest, graphics cards, and like even their CPUs have been giving Intel quite a bit of competition.
Yeah. Well, Intel's solution to everything is throw more cores at it. But AMD, they've actually been making strides, and again, it's not that they've surpassed Intel, but they've caught up, whereas before, for years, probably ever since their inception, ever since they went independent, they've been severely behind. Now, what I do like about AMD is that even though in the past they haven't been the best or the latest, by the time they do catch up, they're significantly better at it than Intel was at that point. They can usually do it more efficiently, and they use less power and things like that. It run less hot. So I'm honestly expecting no different from their graphics cards. We already know RDNA 2 is a big thing, where I don't think they're going to reach 20, not 20, I got to get that out of my head. They're not going to reach 3090 levels, but I think where they can compete is possibly just below the 3080, definitely in the 3070 space, and maybe even budget-friendly builds, that are close, if not above the 2080 Ti range.
Well, that's been kind of like their one of their selling points, is that they've come close or matched performance from the Nvidia side for cheaper prices.
Right.
But this 30 series line from Nvidia, it's like these prices are like they're priced pretty competitively compared to like their other launches and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see like how AMD prices their cards, and what the performance to cost is going to be compared to these Nvidia cards.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing that's difficult for them to match. Not necessarily the performance, because I'm pretty sure they can match the performance, but more on the pricing, because that's kind of the thing that surprised everybody, honestly, because everybody thought that these graphics cards were going to get more and more expensive from Nvidia.
Yeah.
Based on like the last gen, and then kind of starting with like the 10 series as well, that it was getting a little bit more up there than what people were used to. So the pricing here, especially the pricing per performance, is like really, really good.
And we already had rumors of it being $1,500. I covered this in my most recent news roundup video, that it got leaked 3090, $1,500. I think I said 3080 because 3090 sounded a bit out there, but turns out to be true. And it's $1,500. So AMD, in order for them to compete, they're going to have to drop a 3070 equivalent, or at least somewhere around there, and price it $300, $400. And that's their safe space.
I mean, that's what the 370 is going to be. Is it going to be 400 or 500? I think it's 500, right? Yeah, it's $499. There's people who just paid not that long ago $1,000 for a 2080 Ti, and this 3070 is going to perform better, and it's going to be half the price.
Right. Again, we've yet to see what AMD is going to come out with. I'm sure it's going to come out soon. Okay, so the future looks good for both Nvidia and AMD. So only time will tell. Hopefully we get to unbox and maybe even build a computer on this channel with either of these.
Already looking at cases.
All right, so Lou's up first. Do his. And then Mondo's next. I'm excited for Mondo's because that one's going to be the 3090 apparently.
The big boy.
The big boy. We're gonna need two people to take that out of the box. So for those of you that are still listening, thank you for being a part of the Tech Control community. We really appreciate it. Make sure to hit that big red subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and hit us up. We're pretty active on both. So let's talk games. Let's talk tech. Take care.